that's a wrap, everyone.
Woo!
Thank you guys for making this happen.
Okay, so last week I took probably the biggest swing I've ever taken in my career at this point, and I shot a short film that I directed, wrote all myself, and in this video I wanted to share some tips that'll hopefully inspire you to go and create something of your own, because this was a project I was thinking about for years and years and years, and I finally went out and did it. Firstly, if you don't know me, my name is Matt, and I post videos on this YouTube channel. I talk about filmmaking, I share projects, tips, insights, all that kind of stuff. And I used to work in the lighting department on commercial film sets. And if you've ever worked as like a grip, a PA, a camera assistant, a lighting tech, you know how hard it is to make that jump happen from film worker to filmmaker. So I wrote an ebook talking all about how to make that transition happen. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, consider checking it out in the description below. Now let's hop into the video. So to give you some context about the short film, I had thought about an idea maybe 2 years ago, and it was always floating around in my mind, and I always told myself, yeah, it would be cool to shoot that thing. Until one day I just sat down in front of my computer. I was like, okay, let's flesh this thing out to see if it's actually worth shooting. So I created a director's treatment and I sent it around to a few people, and they were stoked on the idea. They were like, let's make this happen. This is a good idea, and it's like pretty reasonable to actually shoot. So we put a day in the calendar and we ended up shooting it last week. And this is my first time I was actually gonna be the director of something. I feel like all the projects that I've directed in the past have been more small scale. This was something that was actually pretty big. We had a lot of crew. I had a production company behind me. I had my friend that was DPing, and it was my first time ever working with a DP. But my first piece of advice is no one is gonna hand you opportunities. I feel like this is something I repeat a lot on my channel. But as I do this more and more, you're just never gonna get the knock on the door for you to go out and direct your dream project or make your dream project happen. That's something you're gonna have to do all by yourself. I think early on in my film career, I had this expectation that I'm gonna call myself a DP or a director, and then jobs are just gonna come and land on my lap, and people are gonna ask me to shoot their cool fashion films or car commercials or whatever it is. And I just realized like that is not the case. You constantly have to be pushing the boulder up the hill, trying to make your projects happen, networking with people. Please be the one to just take charge, and if you have to, write your own ideas or collaborate with a writer or a director and just make things happen. There's this light bulb moment in my career where I'm like, okay, no one's gonna give me these opportunities, so I'm just gonna start creating my own work, putting myself out there, because that's what it actually takes to be a filmmaker, and I don't think that ever ends. Okay, so number 2 is learning to trust your gut. And like I said, this project, I had neglected it for 2 years because I was scared to make it happen. My last project, Corduroy, which you can check out, I had that idea 8 years ago when I initially met Andrew and I wanted to film the project. And it's just keeping in mind, the people that you look up to, those people have doubts. They're in the process, they're telling themselves, this is terrible, this is a shit idea, this isn't gonna work. But they're able to push through those thoughts and work through them and actually get them done. And they're just trusting their intuition and trusting their gut. And I'm starting to learn that as a filmmaker as well, like trusting my ideas and just going after it, even if I'm telling myself this is a terrible idea. Like even starting my YouTube channel 4 years ago, or up until recently, I started to share myself on Instagram. Like imagine if I did listen to those inner thoughts of like, this is so cringy, what if this person sees it, this is a stupid idea. You're always gonna have those thoughts, but it's learning to trust the ones where it's like, no, I know this is a good idea. I know this is gonna work out. I know this is gonna land well. And if you struggle with like trusting yourself as an artist, I read this book, it's called The Artist's Way. I highly recommend checking it out. It's linked down below, but honestly, I recommend this book to every single person that I have these types of conversations with. So definitely check that out as well. Okay, so number 3 is have a concrete plan. There shouldn't be any guessing work when you get to set on the day. Every single thing should be thought out beforehand. For this last project, I wanted the film to take place in 2012, and the loops that we had to jump through in order to make that happen was super complicated. The YouTube browser that we were gonna show, the money that is in the film had to be from 2012. The wardrobe, all this stuff was thought out beforehand. There was no guessing work on set. We get there on the day with a very, very concrete plan. We have to be in this room at this time, shooting this thing. Everything is planned to the absolute T. And I feel like that's what separates the professionals from the amateur, is you know exactly what you're doing on the day, you know what your frames are going to look like, you know what the mood board is and the color palette, everything planned to the absolute T. There shouldn't be any guessing work when you show up to set, because like we all know, there's never enough time, there's never enough money to get all the shots that you want to get. So by having a plan, you'll have everything figured out beforehand, and it's just like a plug and play approach. Okay, so number 4 is roll with the punches. And no matter what project you're doing at whatever scale, there are gonna be so many issues that you have to fix either on the day or a few days before the shoot. There's gonna be roadblocks, there's gonna be people telling you no, there's never gonna be enough money, there's gonna be people dropping out last minute. On our set, somebody slashed the tires in our truck, and we had to come up with a solution then. We fell behind schedule for a few hours. Like, all of these things, I think your job as a director and as a filmmaker, it's not even so much actually directing and filmmaking, more so than like putting out fires and coming up with solutions. Like, that's what makes a good director and a good filmmaker. Things will inevitably go wrong on your shoots, like weather, for example. That's something that's fully out of your control. And this happened on Get Up, Try Again, where we were scheduled to film a scene outside and it started raining on us. So it was a matter of rewriting something in my mind on the fly while 20 people are standing around asking, okay, what do you want to do now because it's raining? So it's learning to be a problem solver and coming up with solutions and just rolling with the punches and figuring things out as you go. Like, that's what does it for me. That's what gives me the adrenaline on set. That's what makes this job super fun. If you did make it this far, I want you to comment, I can't wait to watch Gutta, G-U-T-A, that's the acronym for the film, Get Up, Try Again. Check out the ebook that I wrote in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, like the video, and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see you in the next.